Hello and welcome back to Business Today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Viewers, today we have a topic which is very important if you're running a business, and it's about commercial debt and succession plan. Today we have a guest who is really important in the world of business and law, and his name is Shahzur Ahmed. Without further ado, I will introduce my guest today. Welcome onto the show, Mr. Shahzur Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. First question is, without me introducing, I would like you to introduce yourself to our viewers and give us a little bit of a background to yourself, please.
Yeah, well, I'm a solicitor in Kidderminster, which is in the heart of Worcestershire, and I have been a solicitor for qualified about 10 years, but I've been working in the law since 1999. I've worked for some of the biggest companies in the country. In my last job, I was working for about 10 years, built the business from a £60,000 a year business to a turnover of £500,000. Mm-hmm. But I felt that my career wasn't going anywhere, so I decided that I would try and set up my own practice, and I launched my firm, which is SM Lawson Solicitors, in Kidderminster about exactly 2 years ago, last week. And the whole
congratulations on that, 2 years last week.
Thank you very much. And the whole ethos behind the firm is basically try and provide affordable legal services. We've just branched out into another practice in Tipton in the West Midlands, and we're also looking at branching out into and expanding our Kidderminster office as we speak. So that's really what I do at the moment. I have a small political career.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I hear you're a councillor too.
That's right. I'm a councillor for Liberal Democrats in Kidderminster.
Okay.
I'm a district councillor. I was elected for the first time last year, and that really is a remarkable feat, because there isn't a huge Asian community in Kidderminster. Yeah. And I stood in an area where I didn't rely on the Asian votes, and still got elected onto the council. And it's a brilliant job to do. I've always been a campaigner, I've always helped the communities, and this is another way of doing that.
Really. Well, brilliant, thank you. Okay, I've got a few questions for you today. It's going to be related to commercial debt and about people. What we mean by succession plan is, viewers, like if somebody's got a business, he passed away, and what happens from there onward.
Yes.
Am I right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
So to start with, many of our viewers are either in the world of business or about to embark upon the world of business. I believe one of the many specialisms you have is dealing with debt. Is that right? In this instance, commercial debt. So for the viewers who may be wondering what is commercial debt, could you please guide us on that?
Yes, I mean, it's really, commercial debt is something that is any debt which is associated with your business. So it may be paying the electricity bill, paying a supplier, or, well, basically any debt that a business carries, and all businesses have to carry debt. That's the whole idea of business. What my firm does and what I do is we manage that debt. So someone may well be trying to pursue recovery of a debt, so someone hasn't paid a bill, but it's important to that business that they get that bill in. And it's all about making sure that the debt is recovered in that sense, so that you'll have a cash flow which you can manage. On the flip side is your debt to other companies. You may be finding that the cash flow is slow, then you have to manage your people that you owe money to, and we also help to do that. And I think in every business it's important that you have a strategy to deal with that. And there are a number of things you can do to help you, develop a strategy.
Okay, so what type of advice would you provide to those who may have commercial debt which they would like to recover?
Yes.
So it's the other way around. So.
Well, that's right. I mean, if you have a debt that you need to recover, you need to have a really good strategy in place to do that, because otherwise the debt is going to be carried forward and forward and forward, and before you know it, the people who owe you the money will forget about it, and even in your accounting systems you might forget about it. So what I advise is that you have a set person who looks after that side of your business. And what, yes, go on.
Very important, actually. It is, to have someone dedicated for that part of the business, because if the debt continues, I don't think the business will survive much longer.
The businesses don't survive if you have.
I think a lot of businesses don't focus on that side, small to medium-sized businesses, which is very important actually. I'm really happy that you mentioned that.
Yes.
Okay, but in terms of law, what can we do in terms of?
In terms of law, then, if the debt becomes unmanageable or you're not recovering, what we tend to do is you would send a letter and you would demand the payment within 7 days, and you would say that if after 7 days you don't pay that debt, then we will issue court proceedings. Now, the court process is very difficult and it can be complex, but they have tried, the court system has tried to make it simple by issuing claims online, but you still have to pay a fee to do that. Once you do that, it goes into the claims process, the court will issue proceedings, and the debtor will have 14 days to respond to that. What I always say is try and see if you can negotiate a settlement. You might have a large debt with someone, but if you can get that money in small bits, it's better than sort of alienating that client of yours, because once you issue court proceedings, that a relationship tends to end at that point. So it's always good to talk, it's always good to mediate. Now, when you issue or you start court proceedings for a debt, you're also entitled to a commercial interest, which is around about 10% above the base rate. The base rate is at the moment 0.25%, but as a small business, you're entitled to 10% on any debt that you issue court proceedings on. So there is that. And you also get your legal fees and court fees back if you were to start to do that. With the small claims aspect of it, if you've got a debt under £10,000, you don't recover solicitors' costs. But any debts above £10,000, you'll be able to recover solicitors' costs on top of your debt.
Okay, so in a sense, this is how the small court work, or is there anything else that you think our viewers need to know how the actual small court claim system works?
Yeah, well, what happens is, so you will issue a proceedings, it's called proceedings, and you will send it off to the court. You'll fill in a form detailing what your claim is and who it's against. The court will then stamp that form and send it to the debtor. The debtor will then have 14 days to respond. If they don't respond, then you can ask for judgment from the court, which is another form filling exercise, and you send it off, and the court will then enter what's known as a county court judgment, a CCJ. If after you get the CCJ you do not get the money, you can instruct bailiffs, and you can instruct there are a number of things you can do to try and recover that money, seize goods, put a charge on someone's property. So there is, so that's basically the process that you would follow. There are court fees involved. They range from £50 to 5% of what the value of the claim is.
Okay. Now, instructing the bailiffs, etc., do you, as a law firm, would you say that you take over that and you take care of that side?
Yes, that's right.
Or the business has to individually locate bailiffs?
No, I mean, this is where sometimes as individuals we're really good at what we do. So as a lawyer, I'm really good at what I do, and I know how to do it very well. As someone who runs a grocery store, they know how to run the grocery store and all of that. But the logistics of carrying out illegal action is much more complex than that, and you need specialists to do that. And what I would say is that instructing bailiffs is something that you need to leave to other people to do, because that process is quite complex as well. The bailiffs will want to know what time you want them to go. They'll want fees to be paid. They'll want special forms for them to be filled in. And that sort of thing can take up more of your time, which you need to then dedicate to running your business. So all of these are complex areas, but sometimes it's the only way of getting your money back.
Okay. What would you advise someone looking to start a new business? As we know, starting a new business can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
What do you need to do? What would you say someone needs to do, and where would you start?
Yeah, well, the starting point is research. You need to research what your market is, you need to research where you're going to get the funding from, and you need to research where you're going to be based. Those are sort of basic things that I thought about when I set up my business. And it's really important. With the research, you can find out whether actually your business is going to be a viable business. There is no point in having a business and you're making a loss every year. So you need to find out whether it's a viable business, whether you're going to make profit out of it. The next thing is how really your research into sort of where you're going to be located, because that's important. If you're located in an area where you're not going to make any money, what's the point? So research for me is very important. Funding is very important, because as soon as you enter the world of business, yes, you want to make money, but actually your outlay is a lot more in the early days. So you need to be able to fund that outlay in the early days so that you can run as a business while the money comes in. A lot of, all businesses, you have to outlay something before you get the money back.
Yeah. And what about in terms of having a sole trader?
Yes, as a business structure, I think this is really important. There are advantages and disadvantages of different structures, and 15 years ago there was probably two structures that you would have. You'd either be a sole trader, three: sole trader, partnership, or a limited company. What you now have is a myriad of different kinds of things. You can be an ABS, which is an alternative business structure. You can be an LLP or an LLC, which LLP is a limited liability partnership, or an LLC is a limited liability company. Now, a sole trader is what it sounds. It's basically you on your own, running your own business, no one else involved. The disadvantage of that is that there are the advantages of being in a limited company is that you pay less tax, there's less liability on you if things go wrong, whereas sole trader, you are basically, you're it. So if anything goes wrong, you'll be liable, and you end up paying more money in the long term. But there are advantages to that. You are your own boss as a sole trader. You don't have any other directors to answer to. You don't have any other partners to answer to. So there is that's beneficial. Okay. But setting up a company is very straightforward as well. The government has done a lot to make these processes very, very easy. So you can go online and within a couple of hours you've set up your own company. Yeah. What's very important though is having people in the background to help you, so professional people. So, for example, myself as a lawyer, you would probably need to have someone to set up a partnership agreement for you, or set up a agreement with your other directors, set up dividends agreements, all those sorts of things. You'll also need an accountant who will deal with your accounts and finance side of things. So it's important, whatever structure you get, you have the professionals behind it to guide you in that. Many businesses which fail, unfortunately, think about those sorts of things very late in the day, and it then becomes more expensive for a business to sort of backtrack and get that in place.
Okay. What about VAT? What would your company need when would a company need
very simply, I mean, as all businesses which have a turnover of more than £82,000 have to register as for VAT. But that's in the last 12 months. Okay, so it's 12 months immediately before. It's not an accounting period, it's a 12-month period immediately from today. All new businesses won't have an £82,000 profit immediately before they start. So people don't have to start paying VAT on day one. They can leave it for a later date. The danger is that VAT is a very important thing. You become a tax collector for the government. And that's when things start to go wrong, when the taxman says, well, you're supposed to be collecting this money for us, and why aren't you doing it? Then they will come after the trader and not the person who's bought goods from them. So it's important to get into the habit of paying tax And what I've suggested to some of my clients is that what they do is have a separate account, separate bank account, and they put aside all their tax liabilities. So if it's 20% tax liability, you put 20% of your takings for that month into that account and you leave it alone. By doing that, you're collecting the tax. When the tax is due, if the tax is due, then you simply pay it out of that account and it's left alone.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We're just going to go to a short break and we'll continue from there. Viewers, please stay tuned. We're just going to do a quick break. See you after the break. Thank you.